Assassin's Creed Mirage comes out in a few days, a title that promises to return to the roots of the Assassin's Creed franchise in its gameplay. Does it? Well, let's see. Subscribe for more reviews like Alan Wake 2, Spider-Man 2 Broken Roads, and of course, twice-a-week podcasts. Set in Baghdad with Basim, who's first introduced in Valhalla, Mirage is a more compact title, reminiscent in size and style of the DLC for the newer games, offering less open world and more of a leaning towards the stealth of the original games and a reflection of the hidden ones who Basim joins within the title. Although the game was initially conceived as a DLC, it transitioned to a full title status after less than a month of planning. Ubisoft wanted to experiment with a more focused city setting again, and that is one place where Mirage does satisfy. And one of those ways is the reflection of the tumultuous period that they live in. If you're interested in diving deeper into the history or just making of video games like Mirage or Origins or Valhalla or the development processes, check out my Walking the Walk videos. For this game, the timeline of the game is set during the Anarchy of Samara, which witnessed the rise and fall of multiple leaders. And it's a great place for Basim to show up. This is before he was that shadowy character in Valhalla, nothing more than a thief in the streets trying to keep his pockets full and his belly fuller. As the story progresses, he gains powers and abilities that shape him into the character that we encountered in the game prior, though how he's done that is significantly changed from the last 3 AC games in all of its handling. It opens with Basim moving about in this small town that he calls home with some friends before things just go bad quickly, a mixture of quick temper and bad decisions. He finds himself in some trouble that we've seen, just like in fiction, like Aladdin, a plucky young man, a part of a community until everything goes wrong, and he decides to pick up the mantle of the assassins and drop off a spare finger for his trouble. While yes, Mirage is mostly in the major city, there is some exploration here, some side notes, bits of excursions that see you taking on jobs and experiences outside the main city proper, hanging out on camelback or horseback, a little bit of Origins leaking through here and there as you travel. But it's when you get there and how you can handle it that has changed. He simply isn't badass, and while the game many times can feel like a side story in one of the main new titles, and it indeed is, Basim isn't at all as robust as the normal characters in those games, and you're supposed to know that. While you can attack with light and heavy attacks, parry to stun enemies, and dodge when the enemy's attacks are too powerful, a group around him usually ends up in exactly the way you would expect. A sword-swallowing contest gone horribly wrong. Actively slipping into stealth with a button and unbarring doors for later egress, whistling to pull enemies away from groups so you can assassinate them, are all tools of the trade that you're going to have to pick up. The main takeaway isn't that the game is a dramatic mechanical departure, it's more of a structural one and how each of those mechanics just slightly moves, or the level of power that they have. This includes the parkour, which isn't really a return to the old parkour of the prior titles. It's sufficient, it's useful, but it's not dramatically improved, nor is it dramatically reduced. Instead, what it does is it offers you a character and then shows you this character feels different than the others that we've seen in the prior 3 games. He very much just is not somebody that you want to go into a main battle with. For example, the best bet is to slip in and out to utilize those distractions available around you, from blending in to let enemies pass by to bribing them to look the other way, paying merchants to walk you through enemy territories, hiring mercenaries to take out the guards, or using eagle vision as well as your own bird to just find ways to slip into locations. Setting up assassinations and the hiding of bodies is one of the underpinnings of the game. While the undercarriage of AC has got a wash to clean up some of the parts that wouldn't really fit with this kind of character and actions, beware, it still feels like the newer titles. And one of those places is in the AI. In a stealth-based title like this, I would have liked it to be set up a little bit more like chess than checkers, but it does end up skewing to the latter. For example, the enemies still patrol, they track you down like bloodhounds if they find you, and if you end up hiding a dead body in the bushes and somebody finds that, then the citygoers themselves can turn against you, raising your notoriety, and there's different levels to all of that. But really the way the AI works and the way they're set up in different locations, it is still more gamified than I would like, especially when it's an assassin-style game like this, where it would have been cool to really be asked to use those different tools and different abilities and skills in a more flexible way, something that we don't necessarily see. But Assassin's Creed Mirage is every bit of the promise of going back to an X, hot, familiar, and not without its problems, because you both changed a bit. I do like that Mirage makes you understand those differences, but also all those similarities pretty quickly. It's not a game that causes you to feel a lot of mystery. You just sort of bump into somebody, see how they react, and go, that's the way this game is going to treat these enemies. Basim's actual story's bookended already. We know his future in Valhalla, and here we see his youth and training to become a master assassin, interspersed with characters new and old as he learns to be one of the hidden ones. The story, it's pretty good. It's best to think of it as a true side story alone expansion to the main hunt and investigation for this shadowy group of powerful masters trying to find a mysterious object that will stop at nothing to do so, you begin to level up and get points for your skills. Now, you buy skills like Phantom, Trickster, and Predator tiers. They can extend your ability to take on enemies in battle, or get past them, or kick enemies after a parry, which can help the larger group of enemies, as engagements have a stunning ability to happen on rickety rooftops anyway. Why trade barbs and cuts with the enemies if you can just kick them off the roof? The 3 paths are fine, but there isn't anything really surprising in terms of the powers that are available. The same goes for items and upgrading. Finding costumes and items around the game, you can generically upgrade them with far less stat tracking than we've seen in the other titles. Grabbing items loosely left around the game world is the best bet to be able to go back and upgrade a weapon for a bit more damage. Also, you can adjust them in tiers. For example, smoke grenades can end up having the smoke taking longer to dissipate if you upgrade that tier, which is a nice change up. And it also feeds into the way to do the jobs. Finding clues about the way into an enemy's location can lead you to a spot where you find yourself being asked to grease a few palms to help with these special tokens that you can collect that end up hiring musicians or mercenaries to attack enemy groups. Stylistically, they're more like Ocean's 11 kind of special moments versus a requirement. We got to talk about the graphical representation of the game, and does it feel alive? Because they're trying to show you a major city of Baghdad, and it actually can look incredible. It's got a complex system of giant pavilions, tight alleyways, secret ways, and suspiciously numerous hay bales. It's done well with large crowds milling around everywhere, always offering you a chance to leap into the pickpocket game and try your hand at some light-fingered financing if you want. However, even outside, Mirage does look really good, surrounded by arid lands, but not foregoing the flashes of colors from a stream around a city rampart to flowers carefully cultivated for beauty and apparently for you to just use to kill everybody with. Here's the thing, though, and prepare for this. While the main city's excellent and the outer reaches is fun to explore, the game does have some issues, and the first is pop-up. Even on the highest settings, we do still see geometry popping in, even just running around. The best thing about Mirage is it always exudes that feeling of sandy mystery, of people living in houses carved from rock walls one second to long stretches of desert the next to an interesting city built upon that. The overall FPS is solid with the 2080 at 1440p, and of course the 4090 able to do far above that. There's a lot of options you can also use to dial it in, and DLSS, FSR, Intel's version of upscaling, they're all here. I'll point out that yes, also it is true characters, and in particular their models, have not seen any restructuring in this game. It's a new title, shows the same warts Valhalla, Odyssey, or Origins did, including some noticeably low detail textures, some pathfinding for citygoers, and other things that we've seen in their titles. It also should be noted that for those people who are like me, who like to play with no HUD gaming or low HUD gaming, turning off a lot of the signals, and you can adjust those in Mirage, which is great. Basically, that can make a couple of the skills feel almost effectively useless, something that we've seen in prior Ubisoft games, where their inference of power can actually be an interference in skill progression and HUD use. For example, upgrading to find more options when using the bird isn't as useful if you can't or don't see them marked anywhere. This is something that we're going to buy into if you're a low HUD gamer, where you like to have almost all of the options off. And of course, you can still use your own eagle vision, but just be aware of it, that sometimes you're going to look at a skill and think to yourself, not 100% sure I want to use that or be influenced by that at this particular time. Another thing I've always been influenced by is the different Assassin's Creed games and how they've handled audio in the past, whether it be sound, music, or voice. Mirage doesn't seem to be impacted by the absolute ear cancer that sometimes happened with Valhalla's audio compression. Ubisoft seems to have learned that lesson. It's something they've talked about in posts afterwards once Valhalla sort of got pointed out for it. The best parts are climbing on top of a palace precipice here, doing an influencer TikTok pull up onto the top, and hearing that spreading out of sound as the area opens up, almost this crystal kind of sound to it. Audio direction cues work very well, but it's damn near required also that if you turn off the game's HUD elements, because Baghdad is a complex beast, a labyrinthian complex of twists and turns and alleys, that really pinpoints the exact reason why you would want good surround or headphones, and I think that's suggested for this title. Another thing suggested for this title is just listening to the voices, because they're really good. You've got all kinds of voice actors from the different games from Valhalla and prior. They jump into this title. They do a really good job trying to tell their story. However, this is one place I can point out that Mirage's story didn't grab me. The voice work, I loved. There's a mystery, but it's consistently delivered in a series of sort of, oh my lord, or gosh kinds of moments that happen in equal parts to the steps that you were taking. It's done to get you a feeling of things rocking slowly towards the chaos of the time frame, but it's more by the numbers than I actually expected. I could see more people who are diving into the Assassin's Creed history actually liking this, or if they in particular like that character. But the nice thing is everybody's voice work is really good regardless. And also, excellent is the soundtrack. This harkens back to the original titles in many ways, as well as Origins, with some excellent instrument use in both the structured pieces during major scenes, but as well as while you play and explore in the city. I really did like that. I think that the music fit perfectly, and there were some moments in this and some arrangements that I will certainly listen to outside of the game itself. The real question is playing a genuine assassin thief fun again? Yes, fun factor is the juice, and despite the story issues and some other problems I'm going to talk about right now, I actually think if you have Ubisoft Plus, you should definitely dive in. At $50, there's more than enough game here, and my job here is to tell you why I liked or disliked some parts, hopefully that you can decide on your own if you think it's worth diving in to this title. But I really did enjoy it, and I think that it is worth a buy rating if you're somebody like me and you like the same things I do. It's not a particular masterclass. It's not the best game ever, but it was a very fun title to play. A good game returning to a world that I actually enjoyed, and I like doing things within the Assassin's Creed game world. Regardless of any other changes to this formula, the chemical constitutes that made up the older games and the more stealth-based titles is here, but it's a bit clumsier. You move, you explore, track, sneak, and assassinate, and in that, though, the gameplay cycle still excels. If that's your thing, buying into the fiction of assassins who can't really go toe-to-toe with a ton of guards makes more sense in the entire setup, and it works. Lunging out into the darkness to add extra holes to enemies without anyone being the wiser, other than the dude leaking like a prison shank victim in an alley somewhere, is a substantial payoff if this is the kind of game that you're looking forward to. I love slipping off into the darkness, just a ghost in the night. Or when the reputation rises enough to get bowmen on the roof, or getting hunted by specialized enemies who track you down mercilessly. Though I do admit I noticed that the one group I was trying to help get out of the yoke of tyrannical rule instantly on the first level of alert is the one telling on me. But whatever, I still liked it. Gone are the huge list of these extracurricular items like an exam written out in RGB for players to check through. Instead, it's a condensed affair. Though exploration exists, it's also not, here's a massive world, I wonder what this squirrel's doing 500 miles away, let's go check it out. It's a more tight experience that replaces it. A city simulated in depth and movement and jobs somewhat. And at some point, you would think that the Assassin's Creed directors would be like, there's officially no more ways to stab people, but history has proven that we will try, and so have the devs, each time. And I love that. As always, if you like these videos, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, check out the podcast twice a week. Alan Wake's coming up. We got Spider-Man 2 and a bunch of other game reviews. Patreon all the time. Peace out. Enjoy the rest of your week. Gang, gang.